over the moon, obviously. 100 goals is fantastic, and I think if you score 100 goals in your career, you'll be over the moon. But if you did it at one club, I'm over the moon, and obviously not too many people have did it before me. I think there's about 20, so I'm in there with a crowd of fantastic names and legends, so I'm over the moon.
Right, talk us through your top 5 goals then.
In no particular order, I think first one was on my debut, Portadown away. It was an Irish Cup match. I think I'd scored in the game, but the second one was, I think the ball broke from a corner and we sort of broke, and I think it was Jordan Stewart played me through one-on-one, and I put it around the goalkeeper, and I think even a young fan had come out and I sort of picked him up. Maybe it was a ball boy, and the fans all ran on, and I think at that moment I realised and knew then what it was like to play, or what it like to play for Glentoran and what the club was about and what the fans was about, and it was a great introduction for myself, after being away for a wee while and coming back in. It was fantastic, so it's one I always remember.
And then the second one?
Second, I think a free kick against Cliftonville in the Europa League playoff final at Solitude. We'd worked on a free kick with Seamus the training before, but we got the free kick, and it was Chris Lavery at the time says to me, will we do this free kick at Seamus? And I says, I think I'll just hit it. And I managed it. Normally I would put a wee bit of sort of curl on it, but I just decided to hit this one, and I hit it past the wall and it went right up into the stanchion. It was a goal. Even after I did it, I thought to myself, I don't know how I've done that. I hit it so well and so perfect, and it flew in. But unfortunately we lost the game. But it was a goal I always remember.
And what did Seamus say anything to you about not doing a free kick?
He didn't know how he took about it. I think Chris Lavery always reminds me of it. He sort of said, well, we'll set this up to do it, and I thought, nah, I just said to him, no, I'm going to hit this. And he said, fair enough, and sometimes you do that and it goes flying over the bar, and sometimes it goes in, so thankfully this time it went in.
Do you see yourself as more like a designated free kick taker, or is it a case of whenever you see it in an area or the ball's in the area, do you yeah, I fancy that?
I think anything on the right hand side for a left footer, I fancy myself. This season I haven't had really any, but over the last few seasons it's something I've worked on when I was younger a lot more. And I do think about, as my career's went on, and free kicks is something I feel I can score from, and I have scored quite a few for Glentoran over the last few years, and hopefully a few more. Linfield away, I think at Windsor we're 1-0 down. I think we were well in the game, and we got a corner really late on, and not sure, I can't really remember who hit it in, but it came quite long, and somebody headed it back in just into the sort of mix, and it dropped to me, and I managed to sort of overhead kick past the keeper, and it was literally the last kick of the game. And obviously when you're against your rivals, to score an overhead kick, to equalise. Unfortunately it wasn't a winner, but it was a great feeling, and we had a massive crowd just behind the goal, so I had a couple of good photos and stuff from it with the crowd and me celebrating, so it was a goal I always remember against obviously big rivals. 1 point at home, it was a free kick the second half, and it was just where I like where I like them. It's sort of right hand side of the box, and I stepped up and hit it really, really well, and it went flying in. And I think it was just a great free kick. It's when I watched it over and over again, the footage of it was quite good, and I think a fan had actually sent me a mobile phone footage of it as well, and it was a goal I always just remember. It was just a good free kick, and it went flying into the top corner.
Again, with it being a free kick, do you have any sort of run up or anything to a free kick, or is it just a case of whatever the pitch is like, whatever the ground's like?
No, there's no real sort of telltale sign of what I do, and I know most times where I'm going to hit it. I'll not tell you where in case anybody watches, but more times than not, I know where I'm going to hit it before before they've even put the ball down. I know where I'm going to put it or attempt to put it. So it's something I have worked on, previously in my career, and I did do a lot of work when I was away full time and stuff on free kicks, and it stood by me because it has the confidence to step up and take them.
And then the semi-final one.
Irish Cup semi-final, obviously at Mournview against Crusaders. I don't think anybody fancied us. Well, I remember coming home when we had won the quarter-final on the radio, and some of the reporters had said, it's pretty much a formality. The Crusaders will go through and win it and go to the final. And we worked really hard, and I was involved in the build-up play. I think it came in, somebody played it into me at between Kim Nelson, and I did a wee sort of flick that Eddie probably wasn't too pleased about on the edge of the box, and somehow or another I think Big Kim managed to get it back to me, and I managed to sort of shrug off Colin Coates, and I was in the 6-yard box and fired in, and I think actually there's a photo of Leaper. He's diving in to try and block me, and I've mentioned it to him a couple of times. since then about it. But you know, we went on and won 1-0, and obviously went on to win the cup. So it was a fantastic, you know, for me to score such an important goal, and obviously for the club to get into the final, and then obviously go on and win it.
Over the years, you scored 100 goals for Glentoran, played under a lot of different managers. Is there anything that each of the managers have said to you that you felt has improved your game slightly?
I think when I joined Glentoran, I was probably, you know, I was a well enough known name and an experienced enough player that I don't think any managers really particularly said anything other than, you know, go do what you do, and they knew I could do. You know, I've played in Irish League for a lot of years, and I've been always about scoring goals, and that's, you know, my main threat is scoring goals. So I think maybe the only times maybe if it was, you know, things weren't maybe going as well, just to keep getting myself in the box, and that's what strikers do. Any good striker, you just got to keep getting yourself in the box, and you'll get a chance, and you'll score. Nothing overly sticks out in my mind that, you know, somebody has told me. Just encouraged me, and you know, if there's maybe been times where maybe I haven't been going as well, just to, you know, keep confident and keep getting yourself in there.
There's a lot of people kind of say that you should be always played up front with the two. With being a Glentoran, you show yourself being played up front as a lone striker the majority of the time. How did you find that you adapted to that role as a lone striker?
I had to adapt it. There was no other choice. It was what the manager wanted to play at the time. And I just had to adapt it. I had to sort of, you know, think about maybe what I was doing more in terms of movement and trying to hold the ball up a wee bit more, rather than, you know, a bigger boy that holds it up and flicks things on would suit me more. But when you're a bit older, you have to adapt to these things, and that's just the way it is. You know, I was capable of holding the ball up, but it wasn't maybe something that I particularly wanted to do, because I wanted to always get in the box, and that's what I always done. But if the manager asks you to do something, then you have to do it. And I just worked hard in training, and, you know, and talked to other strikers and other people in and around the club, you know, about what they expected from me to do, and what, you know, on a match day and training. And I worked hard at it, and I did get the benefits, because I was managed to still score goals as well as doing what, you know, I think it was probably at the time, you know, wanted from me.
And not just at Glentoran, but, you know, growing up as a striker, you've obviously played across the water, played, you know, for a number of clubs.
Mm-hmm.
What does it take to become a striker? You know, is it consistency? Is it just constantly working and finishing? Tell us what it takes to become a striker.
For me, strikers score goals. I think it's the hardest thing, you know, to do on a pitch, is to put that ball in the net. To become a top striker, or, you know, or as best as you can be, you've got to be confident. A big thing for strikers, I think, is confidence, and it's something I say to some of the younger lads in the squad now. You know, if I miss a chance on Saturday and you get a bit of stick, whatever, you know, watch match of the day on a Saturday night, the best players in the world miss chances. It's how you react to them chances, you know. And for me, yes, I'm disappointed I miss a chance, and I might, you know, reflect on it and look at maybe what I might do differently. But I'll leave it at that, and I go on, and I'm confident enough to go and say, you know, I'll score the next chance, and that's the way you have to be, because if you're not confident in front of the goal, you won't score goals. It's simple as that. And, you know, to consistently score goals, you have to constantly put yourself in there, and if you're not confident, you just won't score.
Finally, you've obviously scored goals against a lot of teams in the Irish League. Is there a team that's up there that you like scoring against, or like playing against, or every time you go on the pitch, you know that you're always going to score?
Obviously love scoring against the Blues on Boxing Day, but I think Ballymena, I don't know why, seemed to be always a team that I scored a lot of goals against. Warren Point was, and Ballymallard, probably the three that stick out in my mind. I think Ballymallard, every time we played them, has somehow managed to score, and you do remember teams that you do score against, or maybe venues that you score. I don't know the stats, but I have scored in the past few years quite a few goals away from the Oval, for whatever reason, I don't know. This year I've scored more at home, which is good too. But I don't know. Ballymena away it seems to be one that sticks in my mind. If, you know, when you ask that question, that I seem to always score at Ballymena Showgrounds, and I don't know. Maybe it's the change room's nice, and it's a big change room that relaxes you, and it you know, it gets you ready for the game, or it could be just by chance that, you know, I seem to get chances there.
Have you any superstitions prior to a game?
Not really superstitions. I've routines in terms of how, you know, or what time I would get up in the morning, and what I would eat, and things like that. I've no real superstitions in terms of, you know, getting ready for the game. I do the same thing basically. We do the same warm up, and I think the only probably thing that would stand out is at the end of the warm up the boys do a wee bit of short start sort of sprints, and I sort of just stretch. It's something I've done since I've joined the club, and I don't know why it's just maybe getting older, and maybe I feel I need to be a bit more stretching, but no real superstitions. Apart from me personally, going into every game I expect to score, and I expect that from myself, and I think any striker who wants to be a top striker has got to expect that from themselves going into every game. You got to expect to score.
Now you get on to the boots you wear. What type of boots do you like to wear? I'm sure the younger fans would like to hear us.
I've always worn Nike Vapors up until this year. I was always Nike Vapors for whatever reason, I don't know, since I was probably 16. Always had the same Nike Vapors. I think they were a bit thinner, maybe and suited me, just my shape of the feet better. And I think the goals I scored, I just continued to wear the same boots, and I suppose that maybe could be a superstition. But this year, Umbro approached me and offered me a sponsorship deal, and I said yes, no problem. I'll give them a go. But if I hadn't scored in the first couple of games, I think I might have been going back to Nike. But thankfully, I've scored a couple of goals. So I think it's the Umbro Magistas, I think they're called. They're white, but I wouldn't be normally a white boot person, but they're doing wonders for me now, and hopefully there's plenty more goals in them.
And talk us through now the celebration. Where's that come from?
Again, it's just something I picked up when I was in England. I don't know whether I'd seen somebody else do it or what it was. It was just a celebration I started to do, and the more times I scored, the more times I did celebration, and then I just continued to do it. And 100 goals now and 100 times that same celebration. It's just one of them things, and I suppose anybody that knows if I score now, that's a celebration I'm going to do, and it's just something I like to continue to do.